All right, so heater's back on. We're out here for another day trying to figure out what we're gonna do with this Ford, Dodge, Fummins, I don't know, whatever you wanna call it. So, like I said, this was a cabin chassis. It was a flatbed little dump truck thing for a Dodge. He wants the Dodge motor, transmission, and front suspension so he can lower it down real far, because the Fords have that twin I-beam thing and it's not really ideal for getting it really low. So we're mounting a Ford body on this chassis. Now, I took a bunch of time last night, got the body mounted up on here and the frame up higher, perfectly level. Now, I had a buddy of mine come by, give me a hand, which thankfully he was here, so thank you, Andrew. Trying to figure out exactly where level on the frame is. So the frame right now is perfectly level to the ground, and then the cab is perfectly level to the frame. Well, that doesn't take too long, you're probably gonna say. Well, I'd like to say that you're wrong. So what we're trying to do is we need this tire center of this wheel well. So I understand that right now this is kind of drooped down, so it may move front to back as we go up and down. We're gonna do that today. But the biggest thing that I needed to do was get this frame, or the body, straight to the frame, so you know the body doesn't sit kind of on a 45-degree angle or something. And then I need it perfectly straight, not only straight like this, but straight left to right, or I should say the same distance off the frame rail left to right, so it doesn't hang too far left or too far right. Then we also want it level side to side and front to back. So every time you adjust one of those dimensions, it throws something else off. So you're kind of chasing your tail around trying to get it. Took us a while, but we got it last night. It is now sitting exactly where we're gonna want it. So if we come up here, you can see in here I have about a ½ an inch clearance in the tightest spot from the frame here to the floor there. So I can't get the body up any higher. Now, as you know, we're trying to tuck the top of the wheel up into these wheel wells. So I want this top lip in that wheel well right there. So now this is only 16, we're gonna put a 22.5 on it, but we need this way up higher like that. So I want to try and get the body as low as I can so the suspension doesn't have to go up as far, or we can make sure that we're gonna get up far enough that we're gonna achieve that goal. So I need that thing real tight down here to the frame, like I just said, and front, back, left, right, side, side, level, whatever. So all that being said, now you can come back here, you can see that this is the rear body mount here. You have one here and one over here. So on the Dodge truck, it actually sit on this cross member, which now is too far back. And I can't move that cross member forward because of this little dip here in the frame. So we're gonna build a new cross member that goes 1, 2, all the way over there. And then we're gonna get rid of this cross member here because we won't need it with 1 6 inches in front of it. So that's how we're gonna do the back. Now the middle mounts here, or this would be right under the firewall, we're kind of gonna copy something like this. We're gonna come up off the frame rail, straight out like this, and then we'll be able to drive our bolt right through it like that. Moving all the way to the very front, we have one more mount right up here, right there. So we need to build a mount that comes up like this, over, and we can put our mount in between, our rubber isolator. So that's how we're gonna mount the body. Now, this wheel is all the way down in its travel because the truck is hanging from the hoist. That's not really ideal. The reason is, if this wheel goes up and down, most of the time they go forward or backward a little bit through that travel. So what I want to do today is come in here, and here's our coil spring. We want to cut the coil spring out so there's nothing in there at all. And if you look right here, you have this rubber bullet looking thing. That's called a bump stop. So as your truck goes up, let's say it hit a bump, your suspension is gonna go up, and this bump stop is gonna stop it from going any further up. So the distance between that bump stop and this lower control arm is 4 inches. Now we know that ride height is gonna be roughly half of that, so 2 inches. So I need to get rid of this coil spring, push this up 2 inches, and we can measure the driver's side, which I'm not gonna take out, to see where we're at front to back here and make sure the wheel is center. And then we can do the same thing here. Once that goes up 2 inches, we'll measure there and we'll measure here and make sure that we're still center in it. That way, when you're at ride height or driving around on the street where 99% of the people are gonna see this thing, the wheel is actually in the center of the wheel well. If I was to mount the body exactly where it is right now, and this wheel goes up, let's say it sucks back an inch, it's gonna be way off center, it's gonna look crazy. It's only gonna look right when you're fully aired up, which you're never gonna leave it at a car show or anything like that. So you wanna try and get this thing at ride height and get it sorted out so that it looks perfect when you're driving around the street, which is where 99% of the people are gonna see it. And then when you drop all the way down or you go all the way up, it moves a little bit forward or backward. You're kind of taking half of that distance front to back out of the equation. So we took all the time to mount the body, get the body sitting here perfectly flat. Now we're gonna move this, and if I have to tweak it a little bit, I know exactly where I have to go and start and do all that stuff so that I'm only moving it a little bit and we're good. Anyways, long story short, let's go grab the plasma cutter. We're gonna cut these coils out and get this day rocking. Okie dokie, well, we're back out here again and we are about to tackle this rear cross member. Now, like I was saying before, it's gonna come up like this, across, grab that body mount, all the way across here to the other side, grab this body mount, and then into this frame rail. So what I did do was I cut it to go inside the frame like this, go up the back, and then in the front, and then it comes up. So basically it's stepped like this around that frame rail. Alright, so let's quickly look at what we have. So this is where the body mount is roughly going to sit. It's not square this way yet, but you get the idea. This plate up here is going to be welded to the top of this one, and you have the body mount that goes right through it. So we'll be able to get a wrench either through the end that's open or through the cutout that's open. So it should be really easy to put it on and off if you ever had to. And then the same thing over here. This might give you a better look. So this one here, let me get that out of the way, the light. Okay, so that's gonna go this way, that's gonna go like that. We're gonna weld in that corner there. And then we have this exact same piece going on the front. And then what we're going to do is weld plates across the top, weld plates across the bottom, and that'll give us all the stiffness we need as a cross member and also a body mount. So with all that said, what the plan now is going to be is we're going to put some squares. We're going to make sure that that thing's straight like this in the truck. We're going to tack it to the frame rails left and right. And then what we're going to do is get those top plates and tack those on left and right. And then we'll start burning it in. All right, so real quick, I just wanted to show you what I'm doing. I got something in my mouth. All right, so real quick, I just want to show you what I'm doing. So what I did was I threw a level on the front of this plate, knowing that the frame here is level front to back and side to side. If this is level this way, that means that it's perpendicular to the frame rail like I want it. Also, what I did do was come over here and I just threw 2 tacks there and 2 tacks here just to hold that top plate where I want it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a couple decent sized tacks down the sides from frame rail to frame rail. And then what I'm going to do is take that body mount directly out of there so I can melt in that top section. That's done. Now that I can go back and I can weld up and down the frame rail on both sides of this cross member. So that's done. Then we'll start doing our plating in the middle. So since I melted my last GoPro, I am not going to be welding with you as close as I used to. So what I did was I melted in the back one, this far back one. I don't know if you can see up in there. So that's fully welded up the sides, across both sides of the frame rail. It is still tacked to the body mount. Now, the reason I did that was because I wanted this front one in here first. So as you can see, there's lots of clearance to get right through here to tighten this bolt, or you can go through the end here if you really like. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. If you're the client, taking the body on and off. So what I did do was came up in here. You can see this tack mark here and here. That's tacking this front piece to that top body mount plate. I've got a clamp here and a clamp here. That's holding us at our proper spacing. I just have a little adjustable foot right in there. And then you swing over to this side and same thing. I have my adjustable foot right here where my finger is, and that's clamped to the proper spacing that I want. And then this pair of vice grips is gonna hold us here. So since this one here was level, that means that this one has to be level now that it's the correct spacing. So what I'm gonna do is burn this thing in on the side of the frame rails here. And then I already went and cut, that's this one, the plate that is gonna go from side to side here on the bottom. So what we'll do is tack that, tack, 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 tack. We'll bend it up over this little bend here. We'll tack it here and here. We'll bend it up again. That'll follow this. We'll burn that one in on the bottom. Now we know that that cross member is not going anywhere. It can't flex, do anything at all. So now we can go to the front of the vehicle, pull that thing over to where it actually has to be to make it square. Like I said, we're over an inch out of square with this thing. So with this thing burned in and completely solid, we'll be able to run to the front, start pulling that thing over, and it's gonna take quite a force. So I wanna make sure this thing is super, super solid. And then once that's done, we can come backward and we can start making the body mounts again. So let me get this thing burned in and then I will bring you back and show you what the next step is. All right, so let's go over real quick where we're at and how we got here. So we got this cross member, we tacked this back side in, then we tacked the top that holds that body mount. Once that was in place on both sides, we were able to put the level on here and make sure that it was leveled this way. Doing that, then we were able to burn it in and move all the way over here and burn that side in. Once that was complete, I jumped over and did the front one here, which is the exact same as this, just moved up a little bit as the frame comes down. So we did that, leveled it, same way, and then burned that in. Next, I came in here and I cut a piece that'll go across the bottom to length. Tacked it here, tacked it over here, right about where the first bend is going to start. Then I welded about half of this. Went all the way down to this end, put a clamp, and started to squeeze this, which started to pull this shape in. And we just squeeze a little bit, tack it, squeeze a little bit, tack it, squeeze, squeeze, and so on and so on and so on. And we got that bottom piece all in, melted in both sides. So now what we can do is we'll take our flap wheel and kind of blend that corner, and that's what we're going to be leaving as a finished product. Now, we are going to plate a short plate here, a short plate here, a short plate here, with spaces in here in case water needs to get in or out or anything. And on the front side here, I did leave a little hole. On the back side, I welded it. We're going to drill a little hole here so that any water that gets down in this will come out the hole right here, front and back. Lastly, what we want to do is once we pull the cab up and off, we'll burn the top of the top plate down to these cross members here. And that's all she wrote for the back cross member. Now we come all the way up here to the front, and like I told you, this truck was just over 1 inch out of square front to back. So what I did was re-support the frame here, and I was able to get a block up to level the body and then start pulling this way. I said I was going to film it. There's not a ton of room here in front of the hoist between the wall and the truck. And the problem is there wasn't a real good angle trying to get up to what I had to get at. So what I did do was connect a come along to this bolt here. And I was using a come along to pull this thing like this over to the passenger side. Now, once we got it in the place that we wanted it, I went ahead and made a temporary mount on this side that's tacked in place, so I was able to remove the come along and then use our blocks on our stand to lift the truck up and make the front end level. So doing that, now what I did was put another body mount up here, just kind of loosely get it in place so I can design my body mount. Now what I think I'm going to do is come straight up the side of the frame rail. It'll go on top of the frame rail. Here we go. It'll come up like this, it'll come backward, and then it'll come back out. That way, you know, I can get a little bit of wrap on here so it's not going to want to pull down at all, and we'll be able to get over to that. Same thing on the other side over here. Obviously it'll just be mirrored. Now, having those ones done, I was able to come back here and come back to the firewall area. Now again, a big concern of this truck is that we want to be able to tuck this lip here inside that fender right there. Now mind you, this is a 16 and we are going to a 22, but still we need to get that all the way up. So being able to mount the body as low as possible was a big concern, and we did a lot of work moving forward, backward, left, right, trying to manipulate the cab as much as we can over top that chassis, and this is where we came up. So right here is the closest part on both sides. There is only about 1/4 inch in there. Now, luckily for us, we are using a poly mount, so there is not a ton of flex to them. But what I think I'm going to do is just bump these ones up about 1/16 of an inch. So if you looked at the truck, the back would be here, the front would be here. You'd have a 1/16 bow to the middle. It's not going to be enough to throw off a body line or anything like that, but it will be enough just to clearance us in here. So what I did was just throw a couple nuts on here the size of my body mount, and I was able to take my speed square across and down the frame to start kind of mocking up dimensions that I need. So I know here that we're going to be 4 inches tall from the back side of the frame rail out to the center of the bolt. That's my awesome bolt picture, is 5 inches, and I know I want it 2.5 inches wide in between those two plates. So like I said, that's going to be 2 plates going back like this, and then 1 plate in the top, same as the back with the hole in it that's going to go up to our body mount there. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. We do have body mounts on order, but they're about a week and a half away. So what I am going to do is, just like you saw here already, I'll get some spacers made up that are just 1 inch tall, and we'll be able to put those in so that once the cab is mounted, I have 4 of the 6 I need for that. Once the cab's mounted, we'll be able to bolt it down front and back. The center one, I'll just put a 1-inch spacer in there, and then we can continue on trying to chop the frame down. And we need to take 3 feet out of this section here and move all of this forward, and then start getting a bed down on top of it. So I don't want to slow us up. We do have a lot of stuff to do before it really is a problem that the body mount is not here. This cross member back here needs to be cut out and remade. I mean, the list goes on and on. So that's where we're at right now. We're gonna go in, we're gonna do some CAD. We'll throw it over to Dynamic and see if they can hook us up maybe even tomorrow. All that being said, appreciate you guys getting this far. And hey, go out and do stuff in your shop. Now, I know it's been a little while since I was doing a video. Unfortunately, during the Christmas holidays, my puppy did pass away. So he's up here on our banner, as you can see. I call him Puppy, but he's, you know, he was a 14-year-old boxer Malamute. Absolutely love the guy to death. He was like my shadow, was with me every day, all day, got me through a ton of stuff that I don't need to get into on here, but he was a lot more than just a dog. Now, it did kind of hit our family pretty hard. We have a couple little ones, and my wife and I are pretty attached to him. So I took some time off, tried to get, you know, that beside me, and try to get my head wrapped around. I need to get back out here and do what I got to do. So again, that's why the delay was happening, and now we're back out. So instead of doing a shout out to a sponsor or anything like that, I think I'm going to shout out to my puppy Diesel. And here, I'm going to throw a bunch of pictures at him. If you don't want to watch it, that's cool. But hey, if you had to lose one of your pets, maybe throw it in the comments below and we can bond over that, because I'm still pretty tore up about it. Anyways, appreciate it as always. Let's get back to some content here, more regularly scheduled. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate it, everybody. Take it easy, Diesel. Love you, boy. Here. You're cheating. You're cheating. Hey, can I have that? Hey. Hey. Can I have it? Oh, you're cheating. Give me. Mom. Diesel. Hi. Here you go.
All prices good, 60 pounds, can't beat that.
Here, Hudson. Here you go. Hey. I know. Here, have a cracker. Hudson. Here. Are you gonna share? Oh, good job. One for Hudson? Hudson. One for Hudson? Do you want cracker? Here, bug. Hey. Here. Are you gonna share? Oh, good job. Good job. The diesel butt.
Oh, you got a stick? You got a stick? Careful.